what can you do about foreign debts? And by foreign debts, I mean debts that are owed to lending institutions or companies or anyone for that matter who do not reside in Canada. These are not Canadian debts. Well, when that happens, we have to look at processes that go beyond the BIA, because the big challenge you run into, if you have, let's take an example of a client I had who is Canadian, he lives here, but he spent considerable amount of time in the States, and he had some debts owing to some vendors from an old business in the States. And they were chasing him, but he wanted to know what he could do about it. And he wanted to know, hey, can I include this in my proposal? And I said, well, yeah, you can include it, but here's the problem. The BIA is a Canadian law. Do the Americans care? No. Just as much as, their laws don't apply to us, our laws don't apply to them. So I tell people, I say, look, you can put it in the proposal and it'll protect you here, but if you ever go back to the States, they can pursue you, and they can still send you letters and so forth. They can call, and some of these companies will even engage Canadian collectors. That always gets interesting, because at that point I would argue it's a moot point if it's part of the proposal. But ultimately they can choose to ignore it because they are not beholden to the Canadian Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act. So what do? Well, in most cases, in a lot of cases, one of two things happens. First is a lot of clients don't even tell me about the debt till after the fact. No, you're not supposed to do that. But it's come up. They've done proposals, they've done bankruptcies, and they said, hey, I have this other debt. I was in Florida for a while, I owe $3,000 to this guy or something, and I say, well, we should still throw it in just so you're protected here, just in case, who knows. But what also happens in most cases, I tell them, I say, look, let's put it in for your own protection, but are you planning on moving back to the States? And most people say, well, no, or, maybe, I don't know. And I just tell them, look, this may become a thing one day. In all this time, I've yet to receive a phone call or an email from anyone saying, hey, Zach, I moved back and they came and got me, and they're driving me crazy now with the interest of this and that. And in a lot of cases, I suspect the creditors just write it off and get on with their lives because they realize the person's gone. Something else that can be done, though, and this is something we do through a partner company of ours, is something called an informal proposal or a settlement. Okay. Now, what's a settlement? The easiest way to describe a settlement is this. Let's go. Okay? We're going to fight. We're going to kung fu fight with the creditors. Guys, my client owes you 10 grand. He'd like to give you 2,000 and call it even. And of course, the creditors will say, what? No, we want 9,000. Well, he can't do that. How about 2,500? It's basically just straight ahead bargaining. Now, funny enough, these tend to work rather nicely when you're dealing with overseas or foreign debt, simply because put yourself in the creditor's shoes, so to speak, or in their mindset. Hi, I owe you $10,000. I'm in another country, and there's nothing you can do about it. Would you like some money, and we'll call it even? It's actually a pretty good bargaining chip. And at that point, it depends on the creditor, depends on who you're dealing with. But hey, if somebody owed you 10 grand and they were in Timbuktu and you realize you're never seeing this person again, they're as good as dead to you, and they're actually willing to pay you something. Well, I suppose you could opt for spite, but you may also try to get whatever you can and call it a day. So funny enough, these settlements, they can be done in Canada too, but it's harder. In Canada, you have to go into collections. They have access to, they may ask for certain records if they know you own a house or you have assets. If you were banking with these people recently, they can see a lot of stuff, and it's really tough to get a good deal. You do get the odd good deal, but I tell people a lot of the time, don't expect anything better than maybe 60 cents on the dollar. You do get the odd miracle. But with the overseas debt, the bargaining chip is stronger, I suppose is the best way to say it. So when it comes to foreign debts, you should still disclose it. If you're dealing with someone like myself, you should always disclose all debts. That way we can put the proper plan together. But that is one method that we have used in the past just to put an end to things and allow everyone to get on with their lives. Have a good day.